My wife finally fell in love with another guy. It started when I married her, knowing she never wanted kids. My 7-year-old son's mom had died 2 years earlier, and he still clutched her picture under his pillow every night. She said, "I can be nice to him, but I can't promise to be his mother." The day we moved in together, my son walked right past her outstretched hand and took his dinner to his room. She started working late behind her laptop while I handled bedtime stories alone. The first few months were rough, as she'd leave his breakfast and disappear before he came down, and he'd eat standing at the counter like he couldn't get comfortable. When I got the flu, she had to drive him to school for a week, but he only gave her one-word answers and kept his forehead pressed against the window. After 5 days, she stopped trying to talk. Month 4. His grandma cornered her at dinner, saying she wasn't trying to be family. My wife said, "He's not ready for me to try." His grandma called her cold, while my son listened from the hallway. After that, he ate at the table but dragged his chair to the far end, and his grandma stopped visiting. By month 6, she was showing up to his school events, standing by the exit with her coat still on. He saw her leave before the curtain call and asked me, why did she come if she wasn't going to stay? I didn't have an answer. When I traveled for work and he got sick, she picked him up but knocked on his door and handed me the medicine, saying, "I don't know if he's had any yet," while he watched from under his blanket. Month 8 was his birthday, and I mentioned his mom's special mac and cheese recipe. I found it in the garage, and she practiced 3 times while he was at school, setting off the smoke alarm twice. She left a bowl with a note saying, "Leftovers if you want them." Next morning, the bowl was washed, and I saw the note sticking out of his desk drawer between his baseball cards. Everything changed 10 months in, when her dad died. She thought my son was at a friend's house when she broke down at the kitchen table, but he'd been upstairs and came down for water, freezing in the doorway. He set down his glass and got tissues from the bathroom, placing them near her elbow before sliding down the opposite wall to sit on the floor. After 10 minutes of silence, he said, "When Mom died, I used to hide in the garage to cry so nobody would see." She looked up with mascara streaking her cheeks while he picked at his sock and added that the corner behind the bikes was best. They sat there another hour, and that night he paused at her door before saying goodnight for the first time. After that night, he stopped leaving when she entered rooms and started giving her tiny nods. By 1 year, he was making eye contact and asking her to pass things at dinner. Month 13. I found her watching Minecraft tutorials on YouTube with notes saying, "Creeper equals bad," when my son walked by. Instead of leaving, he pulled up a chair saying, "You need diamonds for the good stuff," and they built a castle together for 3 hours. Month 18. He had a nightmare and came to our door with his blanket dragging behind him. But instead of coming to me, he touched her shoulder with one finger and whispered her name. She slid onto the floor and started droning about quarterly reports until his eyes drooped. After that, he'd ask for boring work stories whenever he couldn't sleep. 2 years and his grandma visited for his birthday, and when she made a comment about family, he said, "She's not my mom, but she's something else that's just ours." His grandma's mouth opened and closed like a fish. He never called her mom, and she never asked him to. My wife fell in love with another guy, and I couldn't be happier. That guy taught her you could be family without being traditional. They chose each other slowly.